Hello again, everyone. Ambassador Terry over at Consortium, and I have another colleague with me and fine guest, Audrey Lloyd. Audrey, thanks for stopping.
Thank you for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be fun. We're talking about some neat stuff here. Here comes a famous question. Audrey Lloyd, what are you doing?
What am I doing? Thank you for the question. So I'm going to start with a quote by Dr. Georgetta Bennett, who is the author of Thou Shalt Not Stand Idly By. And Dr. Bennett, in a recent interview, talked about how do you start a revolution? And what she said is that you have to identify the entry point, identify the gap, and find something that you can actually do. And so what am I doing? I'm up to good change. I'm actually joining the workplace revolution that is currently underway. And, I love what Dr. Bennett said, because guess what? We can't eat the elephant, but we can identify a section of it that we can take one piece at a time. And I recently wrote a book entitled Bold, Reign in Your Mind, Reign in Your Career. And the reign is R-E-I-N and R-E-I-G-N. And sure, it's a play on words. And essentially what it means is that rule your mind and rule your career. And we talk a lot about the future of work. We all know that the future of work is now, and we are part of it. And many, many companies are already starting to try to enhance and move away from the antiquated post-industrial policies that were created to actually manage people. Companies are doing good work, but my question for you is, what are you doing for yourself? What are you doing for yourself? Have you thought about what makes you great? In the book, Bold, Reign in Your Mind, Reign in Your Career, I offer a framework, a blueprint for you to rediscover your essence. And you might say, what is she talking about? What I'm talking about is that often we overlook or we base our talent on our current position. I want you to step away from that. And I want you to look at yourself and say, you know what? Hey, what are my natural gifts? What are my innate gifts, my talent, my capabilities, my experience, my heritage? What do I know from a point of view that really makes me different and unique? We live in an era where it seems like many people want to be the same. Oftentimes, we're afraid to step out and to just be yourself. And you know what I've discovered, Terry? When we're ourselves, we're more beautiful, we're more magnificent, and we have more confidence. Oftentimes, as a coach, as an executive coach, I coach people who are at various levels in their career. All of them are amazing, but at the end of the day, they all have doubts. And this whole issue of imposter syndrome, what is an imposter? An imposter is someone who's pretending. Are you pretending to live? Are you pretending to be who you are? You are yourself. And you know what you know. And if you just step out with that, you never have to worry about imposter syndrome because you're just going to be yourself. I use the word authentic in my book, but I try to veer away from that word because I find it's being overused. And in fact, a couple of years back, studies showed that the word authentic was one of the most overused words in business. So I like to say your natural self, to just be yourself. And when you are that way, you don't have to be the imposter. I'm going to actually go one level higher. And I'm going to say that many of us, and I will also raise my hand, because if you buy my book, Bold, Reign in Your Mind, Reign in Your Career, and this is not a plug to sell my book, because the metric is not about how many people buy my book. The metric is about how many people can be transformed as a result of reading the book and to show up in this new future of work as their natural selves, to be happy, to have more joy, to have more engagement. So I'm going to raise it one level higher and say that many of us settle. We settle for mediocrity. We settle because we're comfortable. We settle because we have doubts. We settle because we think where we're at, and I'm going to go back to what someone told me 20 years ago. I'm kind of dating myself. This job that you have is not the only game in town. There are others. But we settle because many times we are, you know the word, afraid. Afraid. We're afraid to show up. But when we show up as our true and authentic selves, we will almost guarantee our success. Now, I know when I say the word almost, many people get a little bit funny, but I always say we can't do the work for other people. We can only do the work for ourselves. And in the book, I talk about patterns and I talk about the fact that name someone. I mean, I love Madonna. I love Arnold Schwarzenegger. I love, you know, Obama. I love Mandela. But all of these people have a pattern to them. And the pattern that they have to them is that they recognized who they were on the inside. They knew that they had talent. They had adversity. Sure, that's where the almost comes up. They had adversity, but they also stepped out at the right time. And, I can think back to Madonna when they asked her, what do you want? She was probably 19 years old. She said, I want to rule the world. Think about
And that is
Mandela.
so spot on.
Yeah.
So spot on. Ladies and gentlemen, did I say this was going to be a good interview, or did I say this is a good interview? Thanks, Audrey, for coming in. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching every week. Bye for now. Consortium, the business model for the 21st century.